Hey guys. Hey everyone. Give everyone just a couple minutes to join in here. Hello guys. Hello. Drop in the chat where you're joining from. Emma from Denver. Working Dog Canines here. I'm loving the courses so far. It's awesome, man. Happy to hear that. Malai says Denmark, Tim, British Columbia. Nice. From everywhere. Hamilton, Ontario? No, Hamilton's my last name. James from New York, from Brazil, New Jersey, Alabama. Nice. All over the place. All right, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to just throw them in the chat, and then I'll go through and answer any questions that you guys have. Before I answer questions, I want to let you guys know we're running a Black Friday deal where you can get started training with us for free. So this is the first time we've done anything like this, but you can get access to all of our courses and everything for free for 7 days, and you can try it out and see how you like it. All right. So feel free to just drop your questions in the chat, guys, and I'll get to it. All right. James says, my dog will loose leash walks with me, but pulls like crazy when others walk him. Yeah, you have to train the other people to maintain the same rules and expectations, right? So if other people are walking him, you need to teach them how they should walk him. And so you're going to have to put on your dog trainer hat a little bit and just summarize everything real quick for them and have them hold them to the same standards as you. Where are we located? We are in Austin, Texas. All right. What can you tell me about resources with toys? So I'm thinking you mean resource guarding toys, right? So do you mean resource guarding toys from you or towards other dogs? Towards other dogs? So if your dog is resource guarding toys from other dogs, the first thing you need to implement is management. So don't leave a bunch of resources out in the open when he's around other dogs. So for example, Orbit, my dog, the border collie, he is a resource guarder. He will guard toys, he'll guard space, he'll guard even like the sink. Like sometimes he likes catching water out of the sink. Sometimes he'll guard the sink, he'll guard water bowls, like he'll guard everything. You have to like resource guarding is a very natural behavior and it's genetic. Like we've seen this, we saw this in him as early as 8 weeks old. All right. And so it's totally a natural behavior. It's normal and it's genetic. And when it comes to resource guarding towards other dogs, it is a very natural behavior. He wants to possess his own things. He wants to keep his resources safe from other dogs who might take it away from him. And so I have to understand that as his owner, and I have to use management inside the house to prevent there from being any altercations. So for example, Arrow, the dog we're training right now, he's living with us. He doesn't resource guard at all. He doesn't resource guard food, doesn't resource guard toys, nothing, just doesn't have it in him. And however, that doesn't mean he won't, go over and try to take Orbit's ball or something like this. And so I had to teach Arrow not to do that, right? I had to teach him not to. It was something I had to deliberately influence in his behavior. And the same goes for like Orbit too. Like Orbit knows not to go towards Arrow's crate. He doesn't go towards his food bowl and water bowl. He intentionally avoids walking over in that area of the house. Why? Because every time he went over there, I corrected him every time. And so he doesn't do that. You see, he leaves Arrow's stuff alone. Arrow leaves his stuff alone. I don't leave a bunch of stuff around the house for them to, for their to prevent any potential problems from occurring. So management. You won't be able to just stop your dog from resource guarding towards other dogs. Emma says, are hackles a sign of reactivity? My dog puts his hackles up when he sees another dog, but doesn't lunge or pay attention to the other dog after he sees them. Hackles are an involuntary response. So your dog isn't intentionally putting his hackles up. Your dog is hackling up because he's afraid, he's a little insecure, he's a little stressed out, a little worried when he sees that other dog in the environment. And that behavior, those hackles standing up, that's involuntary. He's not choosing to do that. And so if you have a dog who gets all hackled up and you can tell he gets visibly stressed and worried around other dogs, but they're not reacting, so they're not doing anything wrong, right? That's a sign that you need to show the dog what you want him to be doing around the dog. So around the other dog. So come in with your positive reinforcement. You know, when you see that dog in the environment, he gets a little worried, little anxious, little stressed out. You see those hackles go up. Watch what he does. Really pay attention. When he kind of looks at that dog and he just kind of looks away, choop, reward. Kind of looks at it, he kind of checks in with you, choop, reward, right? We might walk towards the dog and then walk away. And when we walk away, if he goes from looking at the dog to breaking focus to go back to where I'm walking, he does that right when he breaks focus like this, choop, reward. And I'll do that again and again and again and again and again and again. So instead of just quickly passing the dog, I might get 10, 15 successful reps in there, just showing him what I want him to be doing. And you'll see he goes at first, he's all kind of hackled up, really stressed out. And then by the end, he's like, wait, this isn't so bad. Okay, I kind of know what to do here. I kind of understand how to work through this here. You see, you're leading him through it by reinforcing all those little good decisions he's making, and you're creating more clarity for him. And then the next step to do with him is to take him to progressively more stressful areas, like outside of a dog park, let's say, outside of a dog park, like the fence, along the fence. The dogs will all come at you and they'll start barking at you because you're on the outside, right? And you'll see it. It gets all stressed out in the beginning, but you go through what I was just telling you, right? You start desensitizing him towards the other dogs, just barking at him through the fence. He's not reacting. Goes from a little stressed out. You start rewarding all those good decisions, and you see his emotional response starts to decrease. Starts to become a little more comfortable. Oh, man, these dogs actually aren't that big of a threat to me, right? And then you can start doing obedience that he knows very well. So all the commands that he knows very well, the sits, the downs, behaviors that he understands very clearly. You start doing that outside of the fence. Okay, he starts doing that, right? You start playing a little bit of food games if he likes to play with food. You might bring out the toy if he likes to play with the toy, you see? And you're just desensitizing him now. And you'll take him out there again and again and again and again and again until like the sixth time you go outside of the dog park, you see he doesn't have that big emotional response. He's like, okay, I'm ready to work. Let's have fun. You see? And so what you need to do is start addressing that underlying emotional response, right? Once you've eliminated the reactivity, you're just left with that underlying emotion. Hope that makes sense, Emma. Tim says, trying to work on fear, excitement, aggression. It's not easy. He was super well behaved and obedience is good, but around other dogs, he gets super nervous and excited. Shikoku breed. So fear, excitement, aggression. So what you need to do is you kind of have the first problem that Emma has already solved, right? Emma already eliminated the reactivity, so her dog's no longer barking and lunging. So that's the first thing you need to do is just punish the reactivity. Show your dog that that behavior no longer leads to anything reinforcing. When you engage in that behavior, it is far more punishing than reinforcing. And if you can do that, then he will no longer engage in that behavior. Then you're left with the underlying emotion, right? So if your dog is reactivity is rooted in excitement, then you're going to be left with that, right? So for example, with Arrow, When I was eliminating his reactivity, it was all excitement and arousal, right? Once I eliminate the reactivity, what am I left with? The arousal, the excitement, the underlying emotion. You see? And I go through the same process that I was just describing to Emma earlier. And I take Arrow outside of the dog parks and we do obedience around the other dogs in close proximity while they're barking at him through the fence and all that stuff to decrease that emotional response. So that now when he sees dogs, he's not all super aroused and super excited. You see? And so it's that sort of thing. That's basically what we do. First, you change the dog's behavior, and then you start to address the emotion. I just got my first dog training client who wants to achieve loose leash walking with their dog. Do you have any tips from our first time training someone else? Well, that's awesome. Luna, I remember just a few days ago you wanted to become a dog trainer, so that's awesome. First tips for training someone else? First tips for training someone else. Prepare what you're going to say before you go and meet them and you have the session. Prepare, have everything planned out, know what you're going to say before you get there. Just like really prepare for like a few hours and know what you're going to say, how you're going to explain it, how you're going to work through like each step. You know what I'm saying? And so definitely prepare. How can I use your training style to get my 90-pound hound to get into my SUV? She is very opposed to car rides. So you can go a couple options. If your SUV is really high, like off the floor, then you can do an intermediate step. So you can put some type of platform or something like this as just an intermediate step into the car. But if your SUV is a little lower, then you don't have to do this. You can just skip to what I'm going to tell you now. So with getting into the car, the sauce is to use a combination of positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. This is the best way I found to do this. So I'm talking about dogs who have an aversion to getting into the car or onto objects or whatever. So the first thing you do is you use negative reinforcement. So the dog is hitting the brakes. And what you're going to do is you're going to make pressure on the leash, can be attached to the prong or whatever. And you're just going to make steady pressure into the car. And here's the key. You are not going to release the pressure until they get into the car. That is the key. All right. So if you make pressure and your dog is kind of fighting it, you cannot release it there. If you release it there, you accidentally just negatively reinforce that behavior. Throwing the fit. When they do this, then the pressure goes away. You see, you don't want that. You want the pressure only goes away once all four paws are in the car, right? If your dog has a really strong aversion to it, you can reinforce excessive approximations. So at first, instead of getting all four paws in the car, you can just do two paws. So when your dog gives two paws on the car, then you can release the pressure. Right when you release the pressure, you're going to mark it with your reward marker, and you can also positively reinforce it. Okay, so you're using a combination here of negative reinforcement using the leash and the prong, or negative reinforcement, leash and prong, and positive reinforcement, food. Then you're going to do this again and again and again and again until you'll see this. The amount of pressure that you have to make into the car will decrease. Your dog's, the time that they take to get into the car will also decrease, and their stress levels will also decrease. See, until probably after the fourth, fifth, or sixth rep, you'll be able to just make pressure, like gentle pressure in the car, and the dog will just jump right in. And then right when they're in, reward, jackpot reward with food right in there. Right. And then do it again and again and again and again and again. And you'll see the dog will start to want to be in the car. Number one, because they want to escape the pressure, avoid the pressure, to not experience it because it's uncomfortable. And they will also want to obtain the reward inside of the car. So that's the sauce. Negative reinforcement plus positive reinforcement. Working K9's Dog Gear, I totally recommend y'all checking out his training courses. I love it, especially how he shows everything on multiple dogs so that you can fully understand the concept with your dog. Yeah, guys, check out the training courses. We just redid the entire course just a month or a couple months ago. And so all the video lessons are fresh. We've got multiple dogs in there, and you guys can get started for free. It's totally free. Like, just go to our website and then you can get started for free. All right. Let's see here. RS says, hi, can I see all the courses for the free trial? You can see parts of it. So I have it set to, so you have a 7-day free trial. And then I have it set to where like for the first 6 days, you can only see a portion of it. And it's like that intentionally, right? Because I found a lot of people want to come in and they're just like, I just want to watch the reactivity videos. It's like, bro, you do not need to watch the reactivity videos. That is the last thing you need right now, right? The course is set up in a very, very specific way. Like many of the people who join have reactive dogs. They want to get help with their reactivity. But the thing is, your dog's reactivity is not the problem. It's not the problem. Everybody thinks it's the problem. Everyone's like, Miles, I just need the reactivity. It's like, nope, you do not need the reactivity. That is not what you need. What you need to do is start at the very beginning of the course and work your way through in order, step by step, relay the foundation for yourself and for your dog. Start practicing all of the basic core mechanical skills of dog training, how to use the leash, how to improve your timing, how to communicate with your dog, how to teach a behavior. You have to learn all those skills first before you go and do the reactivity. You have to. You see, this is something I didn't know at first when I started dog training. It wasn't until I had many clients and take them through this process. It's like, no, there are so many things that we have to fix first before you will even have a hope of changing your dog's reactive behavior. Okay. You can kind of think about it like reactivity is like a multiplication problem. All right. You're like, Miles, I need help with this multiplication problem. It's like, all right, if I really want to help you, truly, the first thing I'm going to need to do with you is teach you how to count. To count. All right. And then I'm going to have to teach you how to add. Right. And I'm going to have you practice and get the reps in and get familiar with it, you see? And then we'll work our way up to that. But that's it's not helpful if I just give you the answer to the multiplication problem real quick. You see, you're going to fail the moment you get a new multiplication problem because you don't even have the skills to even understand it conceptually. You see, and so that's why the course is structured that way. My dog is crying excessively all the time, no matter how much we play or anything. It's constant whining, hyperventilating, barking at other dogs. So, hold on. And barking at other dogs. All right. So the key here, like I kind of explained it earlier a little bit, but the key is to separate your dog's behaviors from your dog's emotions. All right. They're separate things. So why is your dog whining? Is your dog excited in the presence of the other dog? Does he want to get to the other dogs? Right? We're seeing them move around and him being held back on the leash. Is that causing him to be frustrated? Which is where you see the barking and the whining and the panting. He wants to get to them, but he can't. You see? Is that how he feels? He's really excited by the dogs. Then what's the behaviors? Okay, the behaviors are barking. It's excessively whining, whatever it is, lunging, whatever it is. Those behaviors are things that you can change by applying consequences to them. Consequences. All right. So likely, if I'm understanding this correctly, again, it's just a comment. I can't say for sure. But if your dog is excited and he's barking and lunging at them or whatever, those behaviors are likely self-reinforcing at this point. He enjoys engaging in these behaviors. He enjoys seeing dogs in the environment and barking at them. He enjoys sitting there and whining excessively as he sees the dog. He enjoys that. See, it's reinforcing. Now, if you want to change this, if you want to eliminate a behavior that is reinforcing, the way to do that is to attach a punishing consequence to this behavior. All right? If you can make the behavior of barking, let's say, more punishing than reinforcing, he will stop doing it. He will stop doing it. All right? Then, once you've eliminated that, then you have to show him what you want him to do. So now you have to reinforce different behaviors, and then you must desensitize him towards the other dogs to decrease his emotional response. See, so kind of again, It's hard to explain just in a YouTube live, but this is the stuff we get into in our course. Do you consider competing in dog sports like IGP or French ring? I would love to do that type of stuff. I'm not right now, though. Let's see. What do I do when my dog takes his time to react to the e-collar on recall? You increase the levels. So if your dog is already conditioned to the e-collar, and he understands how the e-collar pressure works, he understands how to turn off the pressure, he understands the recall very well, then what you do is you increase the levels, right? So you don't stay on the working level forever. That's just to condition the dog, right? Like if your dog is, and then you quickly increase it. You see, in the beginning, you're really using really low levels of negative reinforcement just to show the dog how the pressure works. But then once they understand it very well, you increase that level to reach escape and avoidance levels. Those are the two components of negative reinforcement learning, right? Escape is, so like for example, if you tell your dog to come and you make pressure on the e-collar and he just stands there, he's like, not a big deal. You know, he goes back to sniffing the ground and stuff like this. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? That tells you that right there, he wasn't motivated to escape the pressure. Okay, that's the very first piece of negative reinforcement. See, it has to be uncomfortable enough that the dog wants to escape it in the moment. So if he's smelling something and then he feels this thing, he's like, oh, this is uncomfortable. I need to come. And then he turns to come. Okay, he escaped it. All right. And then you release the pressure, you complete the recall, reward him as normal. However, if you go out again and you give him that recall and he just completely ignores it, he keeps smelling. What does that tell you? Aha. On that previous rep, you reached escape levels, but it wasn't aversive enough for him to avoid that consequence in the future. See, those are the two components of negative reinforcement learning, escape and avoidance. So if you did negatively reinforce it properly on the last rep, then on this next rep, when you tell him to come, he would have came right away because he doesn't want to experience that again. See, that's the level you want to be at, proper escape and avoidance levels. And you have to find what that is for your dog, by the way. It's the range is so wide for dogs, right? It could be anywhere from like a 15 or it could be like a 70. Like it really, there's no one right number. It just depends on the dog and how they perceive the pressure. I'm like building a play-based relationship with your dogs. I like building a play-based relationship with your dogs, and I'd love to do it. But mine, while he loves toys, he'd rather take them away and chew on them on his own instead of with me. Any tips? Yeah. So to help you understand this, dogs will do whatever is most reinforcing to them in the moment. All right. So if you're playing with him with the toy and he has the toy, what's most reinforcing for him to do? Would he rather just keep the toy to himself and chew on it and go run away with it and kind of rip it apart by himself? Or would he rather come and engage with you and start playing tug with you? Which would he rather do? You see, he will do whichever one is most reinforcing for him. So what does he prefer? In this situation here, clearly, him having the toy by himself, chewing on it and all that stuff, that to him is more reinforcing than playing with you. So understanding this as his handler, now you're like, okay, how can I make him keeping the toy less reinforcing? How can I have him find less reinforcement engaging in that behavior? And how can I increase the amount of reinforcement he finds in engaging with me and playing with me, playing tug with me, playing fetch with me? How can I do this? You see, that's the challenge. That now you're thinking in the right direction. Now you're coming up with ideas. Okay, let's make sure I have a leash on him. Okay, that way when he fetches after the toy and he grabs the toy and he tries to run away with it, I can make pressure. I can make it uncomfortable for him to go and try to self-satisfy with the toy and chew on and all that stuff. See, how about instead of doing really long throws or something like this, how about I just do really short throws and I immediately call him back to me? See, how about when we're playing tug, I have a 6-foot leash on him and he has to stay within this area. See, so he's not going to be allowed to go and self-satisfy with the toy on his own. You see, let's use management. Let's make sure that we're not having toys around the house so he can't just go and chew on them by himself throughout the day. Toys only come out when we play. You see how we're thinking here? Now we're going to change things. John said, we have a rehomed pointer about 6 years old. He has bolted 2 times crossing a busy highway and has unfortunately been caught by nice people. Fortunately, caught by nice people, so we got him back, but we were really freaked out about him bolting again. We don't have a fenced yard, but we have recently bought a GPS fence, but I don't trust it. What would you recommend? Every time he goes outside, he should be on a leash. All right. So you don't need a GPS fence. All right. What I would do is every time he goes outside, he's on a leash. All right. So you have a long line by the backyard door or whatever. All right. Again, every time he goes outside, you're clipping on that long line, you're holding the other end. See, he's got his collars attached, he's got his gears attached, whatever. And even if it's just a little potty break, even if it's just something really, really quick, really easy, he's always on a leash, right? Every time you go outside. And then get some training on him. Does inbreeding influence behavior and reactivity at all? I don't know much about breeding specifically, but I can tell you that inbreeding can. What do I do when my dog responds to the e-collar when he takes his own time, though? I think I answered that earlier. Make it more aversive. Reach escape and avoidance levels. Send assessment before session so you can be more specific and organized for the session. Yeah. Oh, that's a great tip. I think you're responding to Luna, right? Luna the Dane. So what I do for all of my clients is, like, if we're doing in-person sessions, I always send them things before the session. So like just the basics, bare bones basics. I'll explain it. I'll have it in front of a whiteboard and I'll send them that video before so that I'm not doing a ton of talking during the session. They come already knowing kind of what we're going to do, right? Robin says, how do I get my dog to respond to the e-collar better when he just takes his, okay, yeah, I answered that earlier. What do I do? All right. Chris says, hi, hello. Liliana, my dog Golden Doodle was bitten by a pit bull. Now his reactivity, he is reactivity aggressive when sees large dogs. How to overcome that? Is the e-collar okay? Because recommended by, thank you. You don't need an e-collar to fix his reactivity. So what you need to do now is you need to show him that other dogs aren't a threat. So how did this happen? All right. Was it because you were just out on your regular neighborhood walk and then out of nowhere this off-leash pit bull is just running at you? Right? Is it like that? Or did you put him in a dangerous situation? Right? Did you take him to that dog park? Did you allow him to meet them on leash or whatever? Right? And so if that's the case, right? If the latter is the case, then you need to use management next time and not put him in those situations. If the former is the case, then there's not much you can do about that. You have to show him now that other dogs aren't a threat to you, and you are still not allowed to react at other dogs, and other dogs are not here to hurt you, basically. So you need to decrease this strong emotional response that he now has towards these other large dogs in the environment by taking him around large dogs. Outside of dog parks, for example, is a great place to train. Or if you have a helper, maybe you got a friend or a family member or a coworker who has a large dog that can help you with training, that can be fantastic because then you guys can meet in a neutral area. Don't have him meet the other dog. That's not productive. Have him learn to be around the other dog. That's very productive, right? At first, he'll have that big emotional reaction followed by probably lunging, barking, or whatever. Punish that, get rid of that behavioral response. Now, once you've got rid of that, replace it with the desired behaviors and then desensitize him towards the other dog by doing obedience and play around the other dog. Elevate said, I have punished this behavior to the extreme. Nothing has worked. Full force on the prong. Really excited. Wants to get to their dogs and is doing it. Wondering, general, whether in an empty field. So you haven't punished the behavior. That's the key. Okay. When you're using, you have to, the definition of punishment is to decrease the frequency of a behavior. So if you do something and you think you're punishing it, you think you are, you intend to punish it, but the behavior doesn't decrease, you didn't punish it. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're using a prong collar or an e-collar or whatever. It doesn't matter. You see? It's how the dog perceives what you're doing. You understand? It has nothing to do with you or the tool or anything like that. It has to do with how the dog perceives it. So if you are unable to punish the behavior using the leash and the prong, this is a more accurate way of describing your scenario, then you need to find something else to use that your dog deems aversive, that they don't want to experience again. And I'm not going to get into that on a YouTube live, but that is something we talk about inside the course. Don't forget to give your appreciation and thanks for the info, hitting the like button. Yes, guys, hit the like button. Sometimes when me and my brother are in the same space, my dog starts barking at him and tries to go after him. I believe this is occurring because my brother and I once fought physically in front of him. What can I do? You have to teach him that he's not allowed to do that. So if this is, is this your dog or is this both of your dogs? I think it's your dog. Not sure. You have to teach him that he's not allowed to do that. So for whatever reason, why ever this is occurring, right? You said you think it's because you fought physically in front of him. We don't know that for sure. You know, it could be, but it could not be also. We have no way of knowing. And so look at it at the behavior. Like, what is the behavior he's doing? Well, when you are together in the same space, he just goes at your brother. Teach him, you cannot do that. Do not do that ever again. Don't do that. And then set up the conditions again. So whatever it is, you know, when he comes into the room and he sits down on the couch, at first you can be smart about it, like have all your tools and stuff ready and all that, and set up his training session, call your brother in, he sits down on the couch, whatever, you watch it very close, he goes after him, make it very clear he is not allowed to do that. And then repeat. Have your brother leave, come back in. If he offers a different behavior this time, that means he learned. See? And now you can reinforce this behavior if it's desirable. So he might kind of see your brother come in. He's kind of like a little avoiding, or kind of looking away. Good boy, buddy. Nice job, man. Nice job. And then have him leave again and then come back in. See what he does. Good job, man. Nice job, buddy. Have him leave again, come back in, right? If you have good obedience on him, you can do obedience in this scenario. Good. Down. Good. Place. Right? You can send him away from you guys. You see, and you can just practice in different scenarios. You can practice him being on place while your brother comes into the room and sits next to you on the couch. You see, however it is. But you see how I'm thinking about it? You set up training sessions to attach consequences to the behavior you're trying to change. All right. My dogs bark at the fence, which is a good thing because I want them to guard the house. But once I want them to stop, I can't do it if I don't go out there and apply physical pressure. Any suggestion? Yeah, you need a way that you can make pressure at a distance. So the only two ways you can do that really is either a long line attached to your dog's collars or an e-collar. Those are the only ways you can apply pressure at a distance, right? And so what I'll usually do, like if you're okay with like your dog, being on the property, guarding the property while you're away or while you're busy in the house or whatever, this is fine. But if you want to put an end to it, usually what I'll do is I'll just reinforce an incompatible behavior. So for example, if they're currently barking at the fence at somebody and I tell them to come, this is incompatible with the behavior of barking at the fence. See? And now that I've told them to come, I will reinforce the recall, positively or negatively. See, but because they're recalling to me and they're with me now, they can't be barking at the fence. You see, so it's an incompatible behavior. And if they ignore it, I will, of course, make pressure. All right. Formerly reactive dog now passes dogs with no outbursts, but will break heel position to calmly look at passing dogs. Correct firmly for breaking position or no since not exploding. Position to calmly look at passing dogs. Correct firmly for breaking position or not since not exploded. Well, if you ask him to heel, then you expect him to heel. Right? So it depends. Like if your dog is still what we call it is we call it kind of being in the reactivity red zone. You know, if there's a risk of your dog exploding at the dog, don't have them in obedience. It's the last place you want them. Have them on a loose leash. Say like if like for example, if you were healing with your reactive dog and you were healing doing some training and then you see a dog around the corner, don't keep them in the heel. Say, okay, break, get them out, get them away. You're not a heel command anymore. Go. Right? Get them away from you. Let them see the other dog and let them choose what to do so you can attach a consequence to their behavior. See, there's the other dog there. Make a choice. It's up to you. See, I don't want to keep you in a heel. Now, if you make a good choice, I'm going to reward you. I'm going to reward you profusely, right? I love this behavior. Now, if you make a bad choice, okay, there's a consequence for that. See, so there's a consequence for being good and being bad. But if your dog is at risk of reacting, release them. Don't have them in obedience. Now, if you're like, all right, you know, we've passed a lot of dogs, you know, he hasn't reacted. I can't remember the last time he reacted. Now we're going to work on obedience past the other dogs as we're passing, right? Okay, great. So now we're going to reinforce the heel command as we pass this dog. And if he goes to kind of, you know, head check a little bit, just a little curious in the other dog, I'm going to make it difficult for him to heel now. See, oh, you want to get distracted by that other dog. Oh, you're concerned with what that other dog is doing. Ha 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 ha. There's something you don't understand here. I told you to heel. You see, so I'll do things, for example, like Arrow is like he was reactivity is rooted in excitement, so he get really excited when he see other dogs, right? Once I eliminate that, we start healing past dogs. You know, he's kind of looking at him. He's like, oh yeah, look at that dog over there. And he's when you're fixated on that dog over there, you have no idea where I'm at. You have no idea. You're not even paying attention. And so what I'll do here is I'll do something like a sidestep. Like I will just sidestep. And now he's way out of position. And he didn't even notice. And once he's out of that position, pressure, 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 pressure. Right? He's like, ooh. And then once he gets back in, pressure goes away. Now he's like, oh my God, I actually have to pay attention in the heel. You see, I actually have to pay attention. And then we pass that dog again, right? Pass the dog. He kind of sees the other dog. He's like, but wait, I got to pay attention. And he kind of sees the other dog. He's like, but wait, I got to pay attention. See, when I see that, when I see the dog is trying, I might speed up and I might slow down. When I see that he's trying and he's focused and he's really just like, he's concentrated, he's trying to do the right thing, then I will reward. You see, you make it difficult for him to heal past those things. I've working dogs, and after they got their game, one of them attacked the other over the game. Do you think she can be fixed if resource guarding is natural? Management. You're going to have to manage them inside the house, right? So if you have a dog who resource guard, like for example, Orbit is a resource guarder. Arrow is living with us right now. I have to use management inside the house to prevent them from getting into it. See? Have to use management. I have to make sure the resources aren't just laying around the house. I have to make sure dogs are separated physically when they need to be, like when a dog is eating or when the dog is on their play sport or in their crate or whatever. And I'm carefully managing their interactions with one another. And both ways too, right? I'm not allowing Orbit to go and start, resource guarding Arrow's food area or anything like that, right? And I'm not allowing Arrow to get in Orbit's space or to come up to him or whatever, you see? So I'm managing both of their interactions with one another. Robert asks, when using Martin chameleon collar on Orbit, what contact configuration do you utilize? So we were using the feather contacts, like the winged contact points. Those are really good, like if you have a long coat dog. But one of the screws came loose and we lost it. And so we were like, oh man. And then so we started just using the default ones that came with it. But instead of just having, so the feather contacts, we just had two on one side of the collar. And I would just kind of switch the collar around, just two of the wing contacts on one side. Then once we lost one of them, I was like, all right, let's just use the standard ones, but let's have all four on there. So now we have two on each side, so four in total. And that seems to work well because what's nice about the chameleon is you can put multiple contact points and only one positive and one negative has to touch, right? So if you have a dog with like a thick coat like Orbit does, only two of them out of the four have to be making contact with the skin, which is pretty good odds. So that's the one we've been using recently, and it works well. Adrian says, just want to say your videos help shape my mindset to have my new puppy. Much love. Happy to hear that, Adrian. Hope your puppy's doing well. All right. Chris says, my dog will play tug with me. He loves hunting actions. I have a cat, bird toys he loves, but he's not interested in a ball or even fetching in a rope. He's a big dog that needs a lot of exercise. So if your dog has prey drive, he will chase the ball. He just doesn't know that's prey yet. You see, but if you have a dog who has prey drive, this is for everybody watching this video. If your dog has prey drive, they can learn to play fetch. They just don't know right now. They don't see the ball as prey. See? So what you need to do is you need to start showing your dog, figure out how to teach your dog that the ball equals prey. See? This is something I had to do with Arrow. Like when we first started training, bro has wild prey drive, just wild. Like he's got so much prey. He just loves like when he's outside, he's hunting. He wants to find those bunnies and those squirrels. You know, he's killed wildlife in the past. Like he's got prey drive. But when I first started playing with him, you can see the prey drive activates when the ball's moving, but he doesn't know like how to play fetch. Like he doesn't like it that much, you see. But I knew that the prey drive, like if I could channel this into fetch, it would be wild. Like he would be obsessed with fetch, like literally obsessed. He just doesn't know yet. I have to teach him. See? And so I started out just like in the backyard, short tosses, short throws every single day. Every day. Like I would go out there with a ball on a rope, trying different things, have him on a leash to prevent him from running away and all that stuff. And we just play. I play by myself in the beginning. I'm throwing the ball and I'm chasing after it. Throw the ball, I chase after it. Throw the ball, chase after it. I'm playing by myself. But then he starts engaging a little bit. We start getting a little game going. Not too many rules, just focus on having fun. And we slowly build up, you see? And then we play every day though. That's very important. Like in the beginning, you can't give up. You have to understand, like if you have a dog with prey drive, you can teach him to play fetch. But you have to have patience, right? You can't get frustrated in the process. And it is very frustrating when you're out playing by yourself every day and your dog like is interested at all. Like it's very frustrating, but you have to hide that frustration. You have to show up and have fun by yourself. Put on that good show, because even though it feels like a loss in the moment, it's not, because he's watching you. He sees you having fun. He sees you chasing after that ball, and he's more likely now to chase after it the next day. See? So in the beginning there, it's very difficult, but I'll post a YouTube video on that. Love your videos. How do I make my GLD to keep walking with me when passing other dogs? When she usually slows down, stalks something, and lays down before he starts reacting. Thank you in advance. So it's just loose leash walking. So if you've watched our loose leash walking video on YouTube, it's just that. All right. So a lot of people, what they do is they accidentally negatively reinforce this behavior. Like, for example, I was doing this session with someone one time, I remember, in downtown Bellevue in Washington. And we were doing some healing or something like this. And this old lady with her dog was passing, right? And her little dog, right? And as she was passing, you know, they kind of passed, and then her dog just hit the brakes. And I was just watching, right? And she was making pressure, kind of just dragging the dog, right? The dog was hitting the brakes because he wants to stay with us and like go say hi to the dog we're training, right? And so he's just hitting his brakes and she's just dragging him. And then she stops. and then she releases the pressure. What did she just do there? Oh, the removal of the pressure. You see, when he hits the brakes like that, he learns when I do this, if I just hold it, then the pressure goes away. The removal of that increases the frequency of that behavior, negatively reinforcing hitting the brakes. See, but she didn't do this intentionally. And right when I saw that, I was like, just keep walking, go, keep walking. And then she keeps walking, dragging. And then he starts walking. And I was like, good, nice job. And she was like, thumbs up, right? It was so funny, but it's a perfect example of that. When your dog sees other dogs in the environment and he slows down or stops, that's fine. As long as you're not pulling. If you slow down, that's fine. But when you feel pressure on that leash, you better come right off. You see? You want to lay down? That's fine. But right when I make just the tiniest bit of pressure on that leash, you better come right off of that pressure. Otherwise, there's a consequence. You see? It's still loose leash walking. Bob asks, how do you utilize the long line to do the rules for 6 foot loose, 6 foot leash apply in the same way for the long line? Yeah, don't let them pull you on the long line. Jordan says, oh, Jordan, what's up, Jordan? Jordan's one of our students in the community. Indian Goose want to say hi. Everyone who's considering getting the course, 100% recommend it, changed our lives. Yeah, Jordan's a great owner. She has a husky and she's got a border collie puppy and she's in the program. She's killing it. Yeah, check it out, guys. It's free. You guys can join it free for 7 days. Try it out. John says, thanks for your free videos. They help me a lot. I understand my dog's shelter dog's reactivity, and successfully help him learn not to do that. That's awesome, man. Happy to help, John. Hey Young says, hi, just want to say thank you so much for your videos. I trained my dog since he was 10 weeks old using your tutorials, and now he's 1 year, 4 months. He was reactive, but now he's the most obedient good boy. I'm so happy to hear that. Glad I helped. Carol says, how do you teach a dog to play? Thank you. I'll make a video on it. Luan says, hello, Luan. You're in the program. Do you know any rescues in Oregon that allow balance training for foster? I want to get a foster dog to apply different aspects of training, but all the rescues I know here are force-free. Yeah, a lot of them are force-free, but I won't tell you to break it. I'm not saying break any rules or anything like that. Not what I'm saying. But I will say that if you do something that increases the odds of the dog getting adopted dramatically, is that better or worse? Is that worth breaking the rules of the shelter? See, if you do something that the shelter doesn't allow, but the dog gets adopted because of it, is that not worth it? Not saying to break any rules. I'm just saying. I think the shelters, I understand what they're saying, because the truth is, if you don't know what you're doing with balance training, it can make the dog worse. Like clearly, like if you start using prong collar, like this is why balance training gets a bad rep, right? This is why, like as a balance trainer myself, I would much rather train a dog who has had just positive reinforcement only training than I would train a dog who's had shitty balance training. I'd pick the positive reinforcement one all day long. You see? And that tells you something. Like, if you don't know what you're doing, like with pressure, you don't know what you're doing with tools, you can really mess up the dog and make it so much more difficult to train and have to undo all that stuff with your training. You see, so I understand why, because you can't really mess anything up with positive reinforcement training. Like, okay, the dog doesn't listen. All right. That's not that bad. Okay, he pulls on the leash and he doesn't listen to command. That's not that bad, right? But if you have a dog who pulls on the leash, doesn't listen, and is completely desensitized to the prong collar, has a suspicious association with the e-collar, right? Like, this is terrible. Like, now we have to undo all of this stuff. You see? I would much rather just have the positive reinforcement dog who just pulls on the leash and doesn't listen. So I understand why they say that, but do what's best for the dog. How do I get my dog to be calm around my chicken? She's a 9-month-old German Shepherd Kelpie mix. Love your videos to start your training methods with the prong. So with chickens, and you got a German Shepherd Kelpie mix, all right, what I would do, and I'm not saying you should do this, but what I would do if I had chickens on my property and I had a dog also on my property who wasn't always in my supervision, sometimes he's just out and around, I would create a suspicious association with the chickens. This is similar to what they do in rattlesnake avoidance training, where the dog just learns to avoid those things altogether. That's what I would do, because I wouldn't want to risk the German Shepherd killing my chickens. Because you also have to remember too, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he did kill the chickens. Like, that's not surprising at all. He's an animal. He does what he does. You see? So I wouldn't be surprised if he did. And so I would take precautions to ensure that doesn't happen. But to create a suspicious association, we use the e-collar for that, but not until the dog is fully conditioned and trained on the e-collar. Brenda Heed says, question, exceptionally nervous, fearful Bernese Mountain Dog, who is especially fearful of men. How can I get her to be more comfortable / relaxed with the males in our household? She runs to the opposite, I'm guessing you mean opposite side of the room or something like this, right? So if it's men in your household, like people she lives with, I'm assuming she has a good relationship with you. Like, I'm assuming you're her primary handler, right? And so what I would do is I would focus on getting strong control of her, just like obedience wise, right? When you tell her to do something, she does it every time. Even if there's someone around, even if she's a little scared, she does it. Right? You tell her to sit, she sits. Tell her to down, she downs. Tell her to come, she comes. Tell her to play, she plays. Right? Every time. Strong functional control. The next thing I would do with her is I would start developing the play within her as well. So again, I'll make a video on this, but play is it's the most powerful way that I've found to increase a dog's confidence in themselves. There's nothing I've seen like it. Like, obedience can make them more secure and it can give them structure and it can give them something to fall back on, but play develops their confidence it's a different level. And so that's what I would focus on next. And then when you have that, then when you have the men in your house, I'm not sure who it is, husband, maybe something like this, then what I would do is I would intentionally manage her in the space around your husband, if that's who she's afraid of. So she doesn't have to worry about him, okay? He is not going to go up to her. He's not going to approach her. He's not going to go over and pet her. None of that stuff. He's not going to stare at her. None of this. None of that. All right? So right away, you're teaching her that man that you're afraid of is not a threat to you at all. Nothing. He's not even interacting with you. As far as he is concerned, she doesn't even exist. That's what she wants. That's what she wants. All right? Once she is that level, like for example, you'll know you're on the right track when you can just send her to place, she's on a place board, husband walks into the room, sits down on the couch, she doesn't even get up. Like, she's just chilling on the place board, super relaxed, super comfortable, walks right by him, right? She is ignoring him too. That, once you're there, that's where you want to be first. That's the first place I would get. Then after that, then we can start building some relationship between him and her. Okay. And we can do that in a few different ways. We can do that through obedience. We can do that through play, which is my favorite way, right? And we can start doing some triangle play going on where like you're playing with her and then he kind of comes into the mix. You see, and create this little play triangle going on. That's my favorite way to do it. Um, but yeah, that's kind of a deep answer. There's a lot more to it, but the first step is just getting them okay with being around each other without interacting. Super chat from Shrimpy. Thanks, Shrimpy. Hamilton Dog Trading has Shrimpy living his best life. He's almost off leash. Yes, Shrimpy is inside the program. Yeah, they've been killing it. Andreas and Shrimpy. All right, a lot of you guys ask, can small dogs be off leash trained? Well, Andreas and Shrimpy are about to be off leash. Luan asks, even adoption contract looks as if they can take the dogs away, citing violation of terms. Yeah, they might be able to, but at the end of the day, do what's best for the dog. Do you think how long it will take to train my reactive dog to be neutral around other dogs if I train my dog every day with your course? Most of our students who have reactive dogs, it's around like 3 to 6 months, like around there. It really depends on how much time you invest, what your skills are coming into the program. So, what you know, what your dog knows already, and the severity of your dog's behavior. Like, how bad is it? Right. So, all those things, three things kind of, but for most students, it's around like 3 to 6 months. Teak Bird, my mini schnauzer, is overexcited when visitors come to the house. He rushes towards them and barks like they're entering his territory, doesn't like it, jumps on them, misses their pants. Use the place command for that. So teach him to hold his place command. You need to practice this before you actually have guests come over. So proof it, have them hold it, even for an extended period of time, even when your partner comes into the house or whatever, right? Practice, 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 practice. Practice throwing toys on the ground. Practice throwing food on the ground. Practice you opening the door, pretending there's people. Hello, how's it going? You better hold that place command. You see, practice, 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 practice. Then when you do have guests come over, inform them. Be like, hey, I'm training my dog right now. Would you guys be willing to help me train him? And they'll be like, sure. And then you'd be like, great. Right now I'm teaching him to hold his place command. My trainer told me to do this. So if you could help me out, you would help me out so much if you just ignored him for right now. Later on, I'll release him and all that stuff, right? And they'll be like, okay, sounds good. And then you go over, you're handling the dog, right? So you got the leash, you got your treat pouch, you got everything, all your tools ready and everything. And you're just going to reinforce the place command, all right? If he starts barking on the place command, you punish it. No barking on the place command. And you must, if he gets off the place command, you negatively reinforce the place command. You make pressure back onto the place. You must stay on the place command and you must be quiet. Only 2 rules. You can stand up, you can spin in a circle, but you can't get off and you can't bark. See? Once he's good, you can drop a treat on his place board. Good job, buddy. Good place. Drop a treat on there. Your guests come in the house, all that stuff. They're doing their thing around, and you'll see it. He starts to, ooh, calm down, right? Now, this might take 10 minutes. It might take 20 minutes. It might take 30. It might take 45. But at some point, he will calm down. And at that point, you can make the call. Either you can just keep him on the place board, he's doing really well, and then you can just have your guests leave. Whoa, that was a really neutral interaction. All these people came in. I thought they were all scary. I thought they were here to kill me, and then they didn't. That's not bad. That's pretty good, you see? Or you can go that way and just have your guests leave after. He was just on his place command, being a good boy the whole time. Or you can release him and see what he does. If he's suspicious of strangers or he doesn't want to interact, keep him on place. If he does want to interact, then you can release him. Once was Fireborn. Any suggestions on how to introduce puppy to a dog you already have? It's a good question. At first, I think sometimes people get kind of rushed into it. Like they feel like they need to introduce them right away. And you don't have to do that. You can keep the dogs separated physically, but together socially still. So you can keep them around each other and they know they're around, like they can clearly see each other and smell each other, but they're not interacting directly with one another. See, they're just learning to coexist around each other. See, you start out with that baseline of neutrality because you're trying to do things with you got other things you need to do with your puppy. You've got a lot of things you need to worry about. You're trying to figure out potty training. You're trying to figure out your training plan. You're trying to you got a lot of stuff you're doing, see? And you can do that with the puppy, and you can also too start building the relationship you want with the puppy, right? Do you want the puppy to have the strongest relationship with you, or do you want them to have the relationship with the other dog? You see, so at first you just build that relationship. Then it depends on your other dog. Okay, so you have to know your other dog. Is your other dog going to like this puppy or not? It's okay if they don't, but you have to be realistic about it. Like what kind of dog is your other dog? How social is he? Does he like puppies? Does he not? See, that will change how you introduce them significantly. Agathio says, thank you very much for the guidance, man. Your teachings have made my dog's behavior do a 180. Thanks again. Appreciate that, man. Nice work. No question, just highly recommending the course. Look no further. Mona says hi. Yes, Jorge. Jorge's in the program with his dog, Mona, who was very reactive. So yeah, guys, if you guys want to check it out, the course, check it out. It's free. You guys can get started for free for a week. Peter, Miles, thank you for the insights. We appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate you. Joshua Kim, going on a trip with another dog. How do I acquaint both dogs together if my dog tends to be very hyper? Have them just first establish a baseline of neutrality around each other. So you don't have to force an interaction right off the top. Maybe just start by going on a little walk together. You don't have to interact, just go on a walk. And they're just learning just to be around each other without just directly interacting and creating chaos. You can just be around each other and be calm. See, and once you've got that, and then you allow the interaction, it'll go so much smoother than if you just allow it craziness right at the beginning. Jamie says, why does my Chi bark the entire time while playing with another dog? It's annoying, kind of scares the other dog, but I can't get her to stop. You have to correct it. So it's become a self-reinforcing behavior. She just enjoys barking while she's playing, right? And so you have to correct it every time. Joshua says, love your content. Thanks, man. Sifu, I have a 10-week Cane Corso, Belgian Malinois mix. How do I control his biting, especially towards mom and my 12-year-old? He tests mom. I've noticed, especially if I'm not around. I'm so grateful for your free videos. Blame you for my potty crate situation. Awesome. I'm happy to hear that. In terms of puppy biting, look up puppy biting. Like, just look it up on YouTube and you'll find a bunch of videos. But basically what you need to do is you need to punish it. So make it bad for him to bite you, and then make it good for him to bite other stuff. Because keep it like he's just a puppy. He doesn't know that he can't bite you. This is just how puppies interact with the world, with their face and their mouth, right? They just bite stuff. Like if you ever seen puppies interacting with each other, what do? They just bite the shit out of each other. All of their faces, they turn bite each other's faces off. Like this is just how puppies interact with the world around them. They pick stuff up off the floor. It's how they are. And so see it as that, right? Your puppy's not trying to be malicious. They're just trying to interact with you. They just don't know how to do that. And it's your job to show them how you want them to interact with you, right? All right. In your training, how do you decide how to balance motivation and obligation, when to focus on rewards and when to focus on correcting bad decision? So when you're first teaching a behavior, you're using pretty much all motivation, like you're motivating the dog using positive reinforcement, and you're also motivating them using negative reinforcement as well. And then the obligation side comes once your dog truly understands the behavior, like they really know it. Like they really know the sit and the down. They really know the recall, like beyond any reasonable doubt. See, a lot of people skip that. They assume their dog knows the behavior in all these different contexts. And the truth is they don't. They actually don't. Your dog doesn't know down as well as you think they do. You see? And so really in the beginning of the training, we're focused on just laying that strong foundation, making sure that they truly understand it. Then once we go on walks, like around the neighborhood, we start teaching them like, yes, that command that you know very, 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 very well. I know for a fact you do because we've done it in the backyard. I don't know how many times, and you're always successful. You also have to do that thing here. And at first the dog's going to be like, huh? There's no way, right? There's no way I have to do that here. And you're going to be like, yep, you actually do. And you'll be like, oh, okay. And then get into the down, right? And you do that again and again. You start walking different places around more distracting things, and you just show the dog. Yes, you still have to do it, right? And if they do it, you pay them. But yeah, thank you for answering my golden doodle. Lucky was bitten in the neighborhood. I'm afraid of walking, passing other dogs. Why he doesn't like Pitbull and Husky. Yeah, so that's unfortunate, Liliana. But it's always important too to remember, like, there's nothing you can do about it, out of your control, right? If this dog was just off leash, like suddenly in your neighborhood and just started running after you, like, what can you really do about that, right? Not much. And so focus on what you can control. What can you do today? What can you do tomorrow? What can you do right now to help Lucky? That's the way to think about it, right? And so, yes, you're afraid. Yes, you're unsure of what to do. So, what do you do? What do you do? What can you do? Start watching YouTube videos, start looking for training programs, join our free trial. You see, start looking for things you can do today to better your situation. Lolo asks, are you comfortable with your dog off leash without e-collar? Yeah, I am. It's kind of like asking the question like, Lolo, would you be comfortable riding the car without a seatbelt? It's like, yeah, like probably. Like I'm like pretty sure I'll be fine, you know. But I would rather have it on just in case, just in case something crazy happens. Maybe it's even something outside of my control. Someone else rear ends me. It's not because I wasn't paying attention, it's because someone else wasn't paying attention. Sometimes it's nice to have that extra degree of insurance, and it's the same thing with e-collars. After the training, the e-collar is just your backup. It's just your insurance, just in case you need it. Will you need it? Probably not. Probably not. You'll probably be just fine without it, but it's better to have it there just in case. Hello, I have a young black Labrador mix. Currently trying to train him not to pee in excitement. Do you have any videos or any tips? I don't have any magic solutions for this, to be honest, Blaze. I will say that many dogs grow out of it. So at first, right now, just use management. So when people come over, or he's like really excited or something like this, use the place command to manage him. Once he settles down, then you can release him. If he gets too over the top, send him back to place. But most dogs grow out of it. So I hope yours does. To be honest, this is the first time fully training a dog, and I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Bro, we're all there. That's everybody when they first train a dog. That's how I was when I first started training a dog. So you're already in the right spot. Like, you're attending live Q&As with trainers. Who does that? No one. Like, no one does that. Like only a very, very small number of dog owners do that. You see? And so the fact that you're doing this, the fact that you're watching my channel, the fact that you're probably watching a lot of other YouTubers, signing up for courses, like, you're on the right track. Just keep going. It's normal to suck in the beginning. Everybody sucks in the beginning, right? The key is just to keep going, to keep learning. Carol says, I have mixed dogs that were street dogs. I'd like to know more about their genetics to better support their needs. Can you suggest any exercises to help me figure out what they were bred for? Can you suggest any exercise that help me figure out what they were bred for? Like, you can just look to the dog. Like, the dog will tell you what they need from you, right? Like, I'm not sure how your dogs are, but I know many street dogs are they tend to be a little more on the anxious side, a little more on the skittish side, kind of flighty, right? And so I'm not sure how your dogs are, but I've noticed that many street dogs tend to be more like that. And so what they need from you is structure. They need consistency. They need predictability in their routine and in their environment. They need an owner who they can trust to follow through with things every time, the same way, consistently. When I tell you to down, you must down. I'm not lying to you when I give you this command. You see, I'm not lying. When I say down, you must do it. When I say heel, you must do it. When I say come, you must do it. You see, and it sounds counterintuitive, but that's what these types of dogs need. They need that level of consistency in their lives. It creates order from their default just state of chaos and worry and anxiety. They find security in that. And the next thing I do too is like just observe them. So like, what do they like doing? Like, do they really like working for food? If so, great. We'll play some food games. We'll be teaching them tricks and teaching them obedience and all this stuff. That'll be fantastic. Do they like playing with toys? Test it out. Buy a bunch of different toys. Buy like 5 or 6 different toys. And every day for like a month, go outside and play with one of them and see what happens. Just for like 5 minutes of time and just experiment. See what happens. See what happens if you try this, try that. Just notice, do they like this? Do they like that? Oh, when I do this, they don't like that. Stop doing that. How about this? See, you're constantly trying and experimenting. And they'll tell you. You'll see it. Just observe. I live in NYC. My dog wants to hunt rats, putting your training into action, but I'm worried I'm killing his natural prey drive or making him go crazy, giving him toys he can hunt, but not rats. Yeah, don't worry. You're not going to make him go crazy, right? Like, for example, with Arrow, we have videos that like he would, like every time he sees a squirrel, he's taking off after it. Like every time he sees a rabbit, taking off after it. Like it's just real prey drive, right? And what I did was I don't just eliminate that. Okay. This is another thing, guys. If you're watching this video and your dog has like a behavior problem like this, reactivity, whatever, you don't just eliminate it. You replace it. See? And so with Arrow's reactivity, when I saw how he behaved towards bunnies and rabbits, I was like, bro, this dog is gonna love fetch. Like he's gonna fucking love it. Like not just kind of like it. No, he's gonna love it. He's gonna see the ball the same way as a squirrel. Like literally the same way as a squirrel. I just have to teach him. He doesn't know it yet. See? And so I eliminated the wildlife reactivity, and then I transferred that into fetch to give him that outlet. See, this dog needs to play. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to just eliminate the wildlife reactivity, not do anything else, and just expect him like to be cool with just like doing nothing all day. You see, like he has to. He's got to have something. You got to have an outlet for that drive within him, right? And now, like if you see him play fetch, he looks like when he looks at the ball, and I'm kind of moving, like I'm getting ready to throw it. He's pointing. His pupils dilate, right? He's shaking like he's ready to go. It is so intense. He sees the ball the exact same as a squirrel now. It's no different. You see? That's what I'm talking about. We don't just remove, we replace. So if your dog got prey drive and he loves chasing after those rats, he's gonna fucking love playing fetch. He's gonna love playing tug too. He might not know how yet, but that's your job to teach him. Does your training cover forgetful dogs? My dog always barks at our daughter when she comes downstairs, even though he knows her. It's not that. It's not that he's barking at your daughter. It's that he's spooked when he hears her coming down the stairs or when he sees her coming down the stairs. He doesn't know exactly who that is yet. He's having an emotional reaction. So, like, for example, sometimes like when Orbit's downstairs and he hears me open my office door, he'll start barking because he doesn't know like what that is or where it's coming from. He just thinks it's a strange sound. Like, what is that? What is that? He thinks it's a threat. See, so it's not that he's barking at me. It's just that he's spooked by the sound of the door opening. The Wolf Pack, you have such an impressive depth of knowledge for someone so young. What inspired you to get into dog training? How did you go about learning so much to get to this level of expertise? What did I do to get to this level of expertise? So I got into dog training just with my own dog, right? I just wanted to train my own dog. Before I even got him, I had visions of what I wanted to do. I was like, I want a border collie I can play off-leash frisbee with at the park. He can go and catch the frisbee, and then there's distractions and people around. He just comes right back. Like I was envisioning this before I ever had a dog, right? I was envisioning going on a hike with him, off-leash. And I'm like, down, and then boom, he just downs. Like I remember envisioning this in my mind, like before I even had it. And that was like my goal. And then I got him and I was like, oh my God, a puppy. And then like, you go through the whole puppy thing. And then in the beginning, like the first like 6 months of having him, I did all positive reinforcement training. I didn't know anything. I wasn't a trainer. I just thought that was what I was supposed to do. I just thought that's what good training was, right? And so I was following all the positive reinforcement people, the Zach George and the Kiko Pup and like all of them, right? And once he was around 6 months old, it became very apparent to me that if I kept doing what I was currently doing, I wouldn't achieve my goals. I just wouldn't. I couldn't see how that was possible with what I was currently doing, right? I was getting further away from my goals. My dog was reactive. He knew everything. He knew all the commands because I taught him, but he didn't have any obligation, right? He's ignoring me around distractions. He's pulling on the leash. He's reactive towards other dogs. He's reactive towards some people and things in the environment. And so it's like, I was like, dude, I don't know how I'm going to get here. And it's not that I wasn't working. I was going every single day, multiple times a day, right? Like really just like a serious priority for me. And I wasn't getting any closer. And so that's when I started, okay, hold on. Let me kind of look at other things. And that's when I found I got introduced to other trainers. I started looking around on YouTube. And that's when I found Robert Cabral. I found Tom Davis. Like Robert Cabral is really the one that kind of got me into balanced dog training in the first place, because like just the way he explained things and the way I saw his dogs, I was like, hold on. I thought prong collars were evil. Like I literally did. I literally thought like e-collars, like only animal abusers use that, right? That's what I thought. That's what I thought. I was deep in the positive reinforcement crowd. But once I saw Robert, I was like, hold on, there's a little bit more to this, And then I saw people like Tom Davis and like just him explaining things and him training the clients. I saw that. And that really just kind of opened my mind to balance training, right? And I watched many balance trainers as well. I signed up for all of their courses, all of their programs, like all of the big ones. I have all of their courses still. I have all of them. It's because when I was going in that time, I was trying to learn as much as I possibly could from all of these other people. But I was still struggling with the reactivity. I couldn't get that. And that's when I found Haz at Shield Canine. Oh, that was such a huge unlock for me. Like Haz was the first trainer who like showed his corrections on YouTube. And like when I saw that, I was like, like this is not what I was doing. Like all the other trainers, they were talking about punishment, they were talking about corrections and stuff, but they never showed it. When I saw Haz, I was like, oh, like that's what it is. That's what I haven't been doing. Oh, like Haz was just the first trainer I saw who really had the balls to just show it. And it was so helpful to me. Like when I first saw that, I immediately signed up for all of his courses. I still have it. I still have all of his courses, right? And yeah, and Larry Crone too. Larry Crone was huge, just like the relationship side of dog training. All of the little things that you do with the dog that create the dog you want. But yeah, there's so many. So I wouldn't, in terms of like how I got to this level, it's just a combination of experience and then just learning from other people who are way better trainers than me. That's it. Like just being a student and wanting to learn as much as possible and signing up for every program that I could. Like for those of you who are in my program, you can see the influence that these other trainers have. You can see the Haz, you can see the Larry Crone, you can see the Ivan Balabanov. Like you can see all that inside the program if you're familiar with those other trainers, right? You can see it all. Patty says, Christina, I'm in upstate New York, currently battling rats in my greenhouse. My German Shepherd runs around, wanting to get to them, but of course they're sleeping. It's small greenhouse, traps are set. There, thanks for training videos. I have 2-year-old rescue for a year. She loves me, but she still resource guards. She's gonna let bear over the year, but she's still doing it. Are you talking about resource guarding towards you? If I take the item, I fear it reinforced the guarding. Yeah, don't take away the item. All right. So the first thing is management. Okay. So just don't leave items around for her to potentially guard. Okay. The second thing is get control of her. So get functional control. Like you should be able to, she knows all the basic obedience. She knows the plays, the sits, the downs, the recalls, all of that stuff. She's trained to a very high level. You have control over her. Then as you're doing that, teach her that you're not a threat. Like you're not here to take her shit away. You're not. I'm not, like when you're eating, I'm not here to take your food away at all. Like if I have a dog who has a tendency to resource guard towards people, what I'll do in the beginning, like as the dog is eating, I'll literally come over like with some string cheese or something and break it off and then just toss it from a distance into their bowl. Right. And then I'll just do that. I'll just walk away and then come back. toss the treat, and I'll walk away, come back, and I'll toss the treat, walk away, come back, toss the treat. And then what you'll see is like, then he starts, I do this like the third day, right? When every time I come into his space, he stops eating and he's like looking at me, waiting for the treat. He's like, wait, you got that thing, right? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And I throw it for him. You see? And so he's like, you change his perception of you coming into his space. Instead of him perceiving me as like, I'm this threat here to take your shit, now it's like, I'm here to add stuff. I'm not here to take anything. I'm here to give you stuff. See? Now, if you have a dog who's like, eating their food and you're like in the other room and you set down their food bowl and they're going to come smoke you just because you're in the other room, that's a little different. Do you train a lot of Bernedoodles? He's 2 years old. He's a handful. Do you recommend me get him neutered? No, neutering won't help you. You got to train him. And specifically, you have to train him. Okay? No one's going to do it for you. You can't drop him off at a trainer and then expect everything to just, transfer magically over to you once he comes back to your house. Nope. You have to train him. You have to put in the work. You have to learn. You have to acquire skills. You have to practice. You have to improve. You have to do it. Okay? It's not him. He's a 2-year-old Bernard. He's going to do whatever he wants to do. He's a dog. He doesn't know what to do. You see? You might not like what he does, but that's a you problem. See? I have a super high energy 2-month-old border collie. I don't really trust the common advice of not exercising puppies, especially high energy border collie. Bro, Peter, when we had Orbit, we were living in an apartment in downtown Seattle, right? And I read all this shit too, right? I was like, hold on. It's saying he can only exercise for like 15 minutes a day, and like we were exercising, bro, or I wouldn't say exercising, but we were doing stuff. Like we would play for like hours a day. I'm not even joking. Like we would play for like 2 hours, 3 hours a day, just like throughout the day, like a lot. And then like I remember hearing this shit and I was like, oh my God, he's not sleeping. Like he's not sleeping. He's just not doing it. And then because he just wouldn't like relax on his own. Like he'd be in his crate and he'd be like pacing in his crate and he'd be like chewing at his crate. He'd be like chewing at his paw and like all this shit. And like I was like, oh my God, he needs to exercise. Like this is what he needs, right? And he must be bored. And I was thinking all this stuff. Oh my God, it was so bad. But yeah, your border collie, Peter, will play for like 5 hours a day. I'm not even joking. Now, you don't want them to be doing that, all right? They don't have that kind of like regulator that most puppies do. Like most puppies will get tired. Like they get tired. Like after like 10 minutes, 15 minutes of playing and training, they just get tired. They get exhausted. Your border collie, bro, your border collie will play for like 2 hours straight, literally. And so it's your job to keep the sessions intentionally short. So cut them off because your puppy will keep going. You have to cut it off. And then you have to teach him to be okay with doing nothing in the house, which was very difficult. This was probably the most difficult thing that we had to teach Orbit to do, like in the house, just to do nothing, just to stay in your crate and sleep. That was like so hard. So hard. Like he would just be in there and like we have videos of it, bro. Like he would just like stick his paw in the crate and then he'd be like just like chewing on it. And then like he'd find like I think we had like those black wire crates. There was this one time there was a handle on the top of the crate. And then like I was trying to do work on my laptop and like dude was just like he sees the handle, he's just like scratching at the thing for like 45 minutes and like not sleeping. And then he just starts scratching at the fucking bottom of the placeboard and he starts spinning around and like all of this crazy stuff. But eventually, he learned to relax. It took a lot of time, though, like a lot. So we got there, but it was with great difficulty that we got there. What also helped too is a crate cover. Now, when we first tried to use a crate cover with Orbit, we put the crate cover on, and it was just so distracting for him. Like it was on, and then he just started scratching at the thing with the place cover. We were like, okay, we're just gonna wait him out, right? Just wait him out, bro. He'd do this for hours, just like scratching at the thing, and then he tries to chew on it, and then he tries to rip the whole thing through the crate. It's like, dude, okay, no crate cover. Okay, no handle on the crate. Okay, no, like we have to like start removing things from the crate. And like, yeah, it was hard. And especially I didn't know what I was doing either. And so I thought he was bored. I thought he like needed stuff to do. It's like, nope, he just needed to learn how to do nothing. All right, Kendrick Cam. I have a 5-month-old anxious German Shepherd that reacts when other dogs are around. Prong corrections have reduced the barking, but he is still pacing and whining a lot. Any tips to help replace that behavior? Yes. So earlier in the live, I kind of talked about it, but you need to start getting out and rewarding the good behavior. So showing him what you want him to do, right? So when he looks at the dog and looks away, mark an award. He looks at the dog, checks in with you, mark an award. The other dog barks at him and he doesn't react, mark an award. Like all of these types of things. Show him what you want him to do in the presence of the other dog. Then once you're really clear, like you're like, okay, I've done this training. I'm working outside the dog park or whatever. Dogs are along the fence, and there's no way he's going to react at this point. There's just literally no way. Like dogs are barking at him. I rewarded so many good decisions. Then start doing obedience around the other dogs. Then start playing around the other dogs. You see that now you're just desensitizing him towards the other dogs, and you're decreasing that emotional response. We show you how to do this inside the program. Try it out, guys. Free for 7 days. Black Friday. I don't know how long we're going to do the free trial for, but we're testing it out. So if you guys want to try it, check it out. Go to our website. You can try it for free. Let's see. Latoya says, my dog is not a gentle parenting type of dog. Yeah, most dogs aren't. Most dogs need to be told. Don't do that. You take anything from Michael Ellis? I did a little bit in the beginning. Like in the beginning, when I first got into balance training, I signed up for a bunch of Learberg classes and stuff like that. But to be honest, I found they weren't very helpful. Like they just they explained a lot of the theory, but they didn't show a lot. Like they didn't show, and it just wasn't very helpful to me. I guess that's where I really like Has and Larry is because they just show. Like people sleep on Larry Crone, especially too, because Larry, this dude doesn't care about his YouTube channel like at all, I swear. But he just like records his training sessions and then just posts them. No editing, no commentary, no anything. Like just like a raw training session, no explanation. And just like no thumbnail and like a title he thought of like on the fly, like no effort at all. But if you know what he's doing, if you can see what he's doing, if you can read between the lines and you can understand and you notice, if you have that keen eye, bro, his content is so valuable. But you have to know, you have to be able to see. You already have to have some knowledge kind of coming into it, but bro, his channel is so good. Do you have a raising puppy course, or do you specifically only teach reactivity? No, it's not just reactivity. Reactivity is a small piece of what we do. What we do is just off-leash obedience training. So it's for people who want dogs they can take off-leash anywhere, go on hikes with, go on runs with, go play fetch in the park. Like that's who the program is for. And many of the people who want that have reactive dogs. And so in order to get there, we have to fix the reactivity. That's just a part of it. Yeah, Rachel says he would never sleep. He wouldn't. Orbit would never sleep, bro. We were like genuinely concerned he was developing wrong. I have 2 Australian Shepherds. One is 10 years old and one is 11 weeks. I'm saving up to purchase your training program to get our old man off leash. Would you recommend I start with the puppy? Yeah, so like if you get in and you start taking your older dog through the program, you're going to start developing your skills. There are other people in the community, although we don't have a puppy course, there are people in the community like Jordan, who was in here earlier. She took her puppy. She already took one dog through the program and she raised her puppy, and she has been posting everything that she does with her puppy, all of the training, all of the sessions, all of the play sessions, all of the socialization, like all of that in the community. It's super valuable. And there are other members in the community too who also have puppies, and they're like working together and they're commenting on each other's posts, and you see all that. So if you get in here with your older dog, you'll be able to connect with these other owners who have puppies, and you'll see all of their previous posts because you have access to that, and you can see what they did and what their training plan was. Like Jordan, when she first got Goose, her border collie puppy, she had like this whole spreadsheet and like this whole socialization plan and like her whole training plan. And she just shared it to the community for free, and other people can use it. My dog is super prey reactive and into sniffing when outside. I try to play fetch with her to replace the prey drive, but she doesn't see the ball as prey. She gets distracted by sniffing. Yeah, that's like that was the same with Arrow. Like literally, I'd throw the ball and then like he'd like kind of run after it and then he'd immediately drop it and start sniffing, right? And so what you have to there's a couple pieces here. The first thing is play in a familiar environment. So if you have a backyard, only play in the backyard. That's it. Don't even try to play in parks. If you don't have a backyard, try to find the lowest distraction place you can play. So if you live like in an apartment building and you have a park right across the street, but it's really, really, really fucking busy, that's not going to be the spot. You need to look on Google Maps. You need to find the spots that are green, and then you need to go out and like drive there and like see like, okay, is this spot low distraction? Like, are we going to get interrupted? And like, you need like literally, you need to find like a little spot you can play, and you're going to go to that spot every day, or at least like every other day. And you're just going to play. Set a timer on your phone for 7 minutes. And at first, what I'll do is I won't even try to play. What I'll do first is just some basic obedience. So like I'll just do the loose leash walking. I'll do the sits, the downs, a couple of recalls, and I'll do that again the next day, and again the next day, and again the next day. And I'm just rewarding with food, right? And then we start playing some food games. We're kind of, dynamically rewarding with the food. I might toss the food up for her to catch it out of the air, right? And we're just playing with food basically in that environment. And then maybe on day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, now she's like kind of desensitized to the environment. It's like pretty low distraction. She's been here a bunch of times. It's nothing new. It's nothing crazy. It's the same smells that she smelled the past week, right? And so at that point, then we'll start playing. Then I'll bring that ball out and I'll start playing by myself, right? And I'm not going to force her to play. I'm just going to invite her to play with me. I'm going to put on a very convincing show. I'm going to have a good time alone. And then I'm inviting her to play. But I'll set a timer for 7 minutes. If she starts playing with you, great. You can go longer than 7 minutes. But if she doesn't, at the end of that 7 minutes, then you can call it done. And then do it again the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And don't lose hope. And don't feel impatient, right? It takes persistence, but you have to be patient. Eric says, I have an interesting question for you. In the woods right now in pitch black, and I just heard coyotes howl sound like a group of them. I have husky with me. Will they be afraid of my husky? They'll probably be afraid of you and your husky together. I'm not sure how they would react just with your husky, right? But if they see you with the husky, they'd be like, what is that? They're just naturally suspicious of people. They're like wild dogs like that, like coyotes, they're very skittish. Like that's another thing people don't realize is like wolves. Like wolves are they're really skittish. They're like fearful, anxious dogs. They have their desire to stay alive is much higher than your average pet dog. My working line boxer would play an exercise for 12 hours if I let him. If I make him. Yeah, bro. Like you gotta have with some dogs, you just gotta come in and be like, all right, dude, it's time to stop. Like it's time to take a break. I have nearly the exact same story as you. I gave up on positive only when my vet recommended behavioral euthanasia at 7 months old. What? That's crazy. Switched to balance, and he is 6-year-old now. Wow, that is insane. That's actually crazy, the wolf pack. That is insane. Are you going to train protection with Arrow? No, I'm not going to. I'll he can bark on command and stuff, and so nothing fancy. I do need, a lot of you guys don't know this, but Arrow isn't my dog. Like Arrow is just a dog that needed a home because he bit the previous kid who was living with him in the face. And so he needed a home. And I was like, all right, We'll take him on, get this dog trained up, and I'll post some content on YouTube, right? That was the initial plan. And then we got Arrow, and then I was like, bro, we need to redo the whole course. And so we redid the whole course instead of posting all his content on YouTube. And so that's why we didn't post any Arrow content, is because all of that stuff went to the course because we redid the whole thing. And so if you guys do the free trial, you'll see in a lot of the videos, you see Arrow. But yeah, because like we were like, yeah, right when I got him, I was like, bro, we need to redo the whole course. And so we just redid the whole thing. And that's what we focused on instead of posting on YouTube. So it did not go as planned. But now we need to find him a home. So if you guys want Arrow, email us or something, or let us know. Contact us. Arrow needs a home. He's fully off-leash trained, and he's intimidating, and he's beautiful. Any advice on a very distracted / reactive rescue European Doberman? Yeah, pick and choose your battle. Like start out early. Like join a training program. Join ours. Join the free trial, and you'll see like how it's structured. Right in the beginning, we don't focus on the reactivity. That's not the important thing. Right. The important thing is making sure you understand what you're doing. Like you have a clear plan, and you can follow it. Right. You start out in the very beginning. Start teaching the basic behaviors. Start teaching loose leash walking. Start teaching the sits and the downs. And then once you've got your basic skills down, then you can start going on walks, and then you can start addressing the reactivity. Right. But not until then. There's so many other skills you have to get done first. And so check out our training program. You can try it for free. Dharma says, and again, I'm not saying this guy's trying to sell you. I just literally believe for most of you, you would benefit immensely if you just joined. Like literally. A lot of these questions, it's like just join. Like just see it. Just see it. See how it works. See how it's laid out, and you'll understand what I'm saying better. Dharma says, I've been training my mini poodle from 3 months. He's now 10 months, primarily off. You're training YouTube videos? That's awesome. So we'll try the 7-day free trial just to see how I've been doing. We're off leash now. Nice. That's awesome. All right. In Medellin, Colombia, about a third of the dogs are off leash with no collars. Have you seen this while traveling? Has it affected your beliefs on operant conditioning? No, it hasn't. Glad you logged on. Story about how you got into dog training. That's me. About the PWB. Wait. PWD? What's a PWD? Oh, a Portuguese water dog. Nice. During COVID with your exact same dream. Currently stuck where you were. LOL. I got him off leash, but having issues on impulse control. Definitely sold me our program. See you inside. Yeah, bro. I'll see you inside. Yeah, that's awesome. That's who the program is really for. It's not for the person who's just like, I want to fix my dog's reactivity. It's like, I don't even want you in the program. Like, this is for the people who are like, I want to fix the dog's reactivity, but I also want to do this. I also want to do that. I want to go on hikes. I want to play Frisbee in the park. I want to take him to work with me. Like, that's the type of person it's for. You know, I really don't like working with people who are just like, I have these problems, Miles, fix my problems. Those people are so not fun. And they also don't get the best results either. So freaking love Chameleon 4 with 2 finger kicks, totally worth the money. Yeah, Chameleon 4 it's a nice collar. Thank you so much for the advice. You're welcome. My husky is like an 85-pound dog. It's a big boy. Reactive, aggressive Malinois. When we train in public, he's cranky. When we get home, growling, fussy. Is he overwhelmed? I think he just needs some structure from you, right? So take him through the training. Start out in the very beginning. Implement some good management inside the house. So crate in place. Have a leash on him. Start the basic obedience in the low distraction environment, your backyard, your driveway, super basic. You don't have to take him out in public right now. You don't have to do it. You're just not going to get anything productive from it right now. Just work on the basics. Out in the backyard or wherever you're at, low distraction park, play. Play is you got a Malinois, Play is the way into this dog's heart. Have to be able to play with him. Have to. I want this dog to be obsessed with playing with you. His favorite thing in the world is to play with you every day. That's what he looks forward to every day. All right? If you get that, everything else is easy. The obedience is easy. The behavior problems easy. Play. Play management. Right? If you watch the video that I posted recently where I took Arrow, I think it's titled like reactive to off leash or something like that. Like you see the process that I took Arrow through in the very beginning, management, play. That's it. Management inside the house, play outside. That's it. And then I focus on obedience later. You see? My dog is super energetic and behave a lot better after running hard for 10 minutes in the field. Do you recommend running a dog on a 100-foot leash for 10 minutes before that reactivity training? Yeah, in the beginning, it can definitely help if the dog is tired, but we also need to show the dog at some point that even when you're all pent up, even when you haven't exercised today, even when you haven't exercised yesterday, even, you still can't react to that dog. You see? Like it can make it easier in the beginning just to give you a little leeway, but you also need to show the dog a picture of like, yeah, you're super excited right now. You haven't done anything today. There's a dog. Make a choice. See? That's something I'll make a video on that too, because a lot of people think that you see a lot of trainers like you guys watching this video. How many people are on right now? 50 people? How many of you have seen trainers that are like, your dog is reactive. Okay, they need more exercise. They need more exercise. That's like the first, like they need more exercise. You need to be, you've got a board call, you got mound wall. Like they need to be doing 2 hours of exercise every day, 3 hours a day. And if you're not doing that, no wonder they're reactive. It's like, hold on. Exercise is not a prerequisite to good behavior. See? If my dog hasn't exercised yet today, I still expect him to behave. That doesn't mean he can go start reacting at dogs. That doesn't mean he can start destroying the house. That doesn't mean no. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying you shouldn't exercise your dog. Of course you should. Like, of course, like if you got a Malinois, you got a Border Collie, like these dogs should be exercising every day. They should be doing some form of physical activity every day, or at least 6 days a week, right? What I'm saying is, though, it's not required for good behavior. See, it's not a mandatory prerequisite. Understand what I'm saying? A lot of people get like kind of mixed up about it. Like there are a lot of people inside the community even who like they come in. Like I remember we had this one student who before she joined the training program, she was literally doing, I think she said 3 hours, or maybe it was 4 hours. I think it was like 4 hours of training every day, and her dog was still reactive because that's what she thought she had to do. She thought she had to do more. She was like, I need to figure out like what do I need to do more of? Do I need more puzzles and I need more like tricks and I need more play sessions? Like, do I need slow feeders? Like, it's like no, you actually need to do less. You just need to teach him not to react. Is it? But yeah, I just always think it's interesting. I hear it a lot. Like you guys have probably heard that from trainers too. Exercise is not a prerequisite to good behavior. You need to teach the dog that there are some times, yes, you exercise the dog. There are some times where we still expect you to behave even if you haven't been exercised. The Wolf Pack says, I have huskies and live in the country, and the coyotes will try to attack my huskies if they're alone, especially around this time of year. Be careful. Excellent advice, Wolf Pack. Yeah, coyotes can be ruthless, especially if they're hungry. My dog only barks at other dogs when we are inside our apartment complex, parking area, kids area, place area. Yeah. Do you have any idea why? Is it a territorial thing? Yes, territory definitely plays a role. All right. You notice like for many reactive dogs, like their immediate area is worse than if they're put in an unfamiliar, strange place. Right. Your regular neighborhood walk is worse than if you go to like that random park, that you have to drive to that they've never been to before. So yeah, territory definitely plays a role. Won't they attack the dog if he's alone? Be careful, they are a pack. Yeah, I wouldn't keep the dog alone, right? The coyotes will probably leave you alone if you're with them. My dog Ragnar had bitten people about 10 times by the time he was 7 months old. My vet called him Hannibal and Cujo. He fixed him and sent him home sedated. The fairy still had his GSD Roddy. Gotcha. Well, I'm glad you were committed. The Wolf Pack didn't give up on him. And you persisted, even going against the advice of your vet. Any tips on making play super fun, teaching how to play? I'll make a video on it. You guys seem to be interested in it. I'll make a video on it. I'll show you how I did it with Arrow. Because like Arrow's like, he's like kind of like a lot of your guys' dogs. You know, your dog is like kind of interested in playing with you. You know, like they're like kind of interested in a toy, but like not really. You know, they've got some drive, but like not super interested in playing. Like, you know, they'd rather smell around and they get distracted and all that. So Arrow's like a good example of that. So I'll make a video on it. I bring my dogs to group class by time. They don't seem to like it. I do to do obedience with distractions and socializations. I shouldn't go. Or what can I do to make it more enjoyable? I mean, if you get something out of it, you can keep going, but like you don't have to do it. Like, like how we train really is we just teach stuff in a low distraction environment, and then we do it on the walk. That's it. Super simple. And then once they're really, really, really good at doing it on the walk, then we take off the leash. Like it's really simple, like how we train. But yeah, like you don't have to take them to group classes. Like there's lots of you could just live life with them, right? If you're taking him, you're going to a cafe, you want to go to that coffee shop, bring him with you. Bring him. Training opportunity, right? Just keep in mind, like you're not just taking him to the coffee shop. Like this is a training session, right? Yes, you're gonna order some coffee at the coffee shop, but you're training, right? You got your treat pouch on, you got the leash on, you got everything ready to go, right? You're prepared, you know, you're practicing, you know, all that stuff. Take him everywhere with you. Life. It's even better. Was Arrow unpredictable when you first got him? No, Arrow was very predictable. Like, I mean, most dogs are pretty predictable. Like just through experience, like you start to notice a lot of patterns. Like after training, like for example, if you trained 100 dogs, you know, on the 100 first dogs, you're going to notice a lot of patterns that you just acquired after working with these last 100, right? And so you become really good at just knowing what the dog is going to do before they do it. So like Arrow is a very predictable dog if you understand him, if you understand how he's wired, if you understand how he thinks. I can know what he does before he does it, right? Like, and that's one of the skills that you have to acquire in dog training is learning to be a step ahead of your dog, learning to anticipate what the dog is going to do before they do it, right? This is the only way to train, really. Like, if you want to influence the behavior of a dog, you have to be a step ahead. Right? Many people are constantly a step or two behind and they're always playing catch up. You know, the dog is out for a walk and then they pull towards the smell and then they don't know what to do. And then the dog reacts to the dog and always playing catch up. See, like if you want to change the behavior, you have to be steps ahead. You have to be. All right. So like when I'm out walking, kind of scanning the environment, I'm like, okay, I know like in this park, there's probably going to be a dog. Like when I round this street, I might see a dog up ahead. So like I'm already playing this out. And when I see that dog up ahead, I'm going to look at it. And when he sees that dog, he's probably going to do this. And I'm going to do this. So I'm like 3 steps ahead. You see? And I've got everything planned out. I've got every scenario planned out in my head. I've got, if this happens, then I will do this. If this happens, I will do this. If he does this, I will do this. Like it's all planned out. And so that's one of the skills you have to acquire as you're training. That's one of the skills we give you, like, especially inside the reactivity course. That's one of the things we talk about is always being prepared. Like before you set up your first reactivity session, I literally run you through like, if your dog does this, what do you do? See, because most people like they just go out and they're just unprepared. They don't know what they're going to do. You see, like inside the reactivity course in our 8-step process, one of the steps is literally just prepare. Like you're running through the scenarios in your head, you're envisioning your dog lunging at that dog. What do you do? What do you do the moment it happens? What do you do after? What do you do when he looks at that dog and looks away? What do you do? You say like, what if, what if, what if, what if, what if? Have to have answers to all those things before you go out and do it. Otherwise, you're going to get caught off guard in the moment and you're not going to do what you need to do in the moment. See? But yeah, sorry, that was a long answer. But Arrow was very predictable. Let me join the course. You just described a lot of my issues. Yeah, join. It's free for 7 days, guys. Totally free for 7 days. You can try it out, see if you like it, and then, yeah, if you like it, join. I think you'll like it. Sometimes rescue dogs snarl. Sometimes rescue snarls. I have a new vet now. Nice. That's good. Sometimes rescue snarls at me. Sometimes she's in a comfy spot or dark room, like in a circle. Doesn't 99% of the time. When this happens, should I just give her space? Yeah, just give her space. So if your dog's like sleeping, something like this, and they just don't like when you come over to them or kind of invade their space, so they feel like you are, just respect that, right? Sleeping, doing your thing, no problem. I'm not here to bother you. I'm not going to get close to you. I'm not going to go reach over and start petting you. Just respect it. That's all she wants. My dog is off leash, felt really well. Runs where I live, done lots of training. Lately, we do lots of walking through woods. Sadly, I get out when it's dark here in VA, so that's why I hear all the coyotes. I'll bring a stick with me. Yeah, bring something with you. You don't want to get circled by a bunch of coyotes. That would be not good. Thank you for your answers. Also, too, make sure you have good control over him too, right? Because you don't want to get caught in a scenario where, he sees the, coyotes or whatever, and he kind of runs off, and you have no way of calling him back. So just make sure you have good control over him. Thank you for all your answers. I really appreciate it. Do you have some payment plans for your course? We don't have payment plans. It's only a one-time payment. So you join for free for 7 days, and then if you like it, then it is $9.97 a year, and then you can renew it. In reality, a year is more than enough time to go through the course and train your dog to be off leash. But if you really like it, and if you like just learning, or maybe you have goals that go beyond the course, and you just like hopping on the calls with me, or just like connecting with people in the community, then you can renew it. I bought an Australian Shepherd as an incentive to become more active myself. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. She's now a year old, and I love her, but I can't even get her to come. Start the program. Start the training. Seriously. Right now you just feel lost and overwhelmed, right? I get it. It's a lot. It's a lot. When you have a dog like that who's kind of running your life, and it's you had this idea of how you wanted them to be, and then now they're not like that, and it's kind of just it's very disheartening, and it's frustrating, and it just feels like everything is all over the place. It's just chaos. Inside the program, we tell you what to do literally step by step. Literally, you complete every video in order. Literally in order. You don't skip around or anything. You complete it, you do it, and then you mark it with a check, and then you move on to the next one. Literally in order. And so try it out. You might like that structure. Now, if you don't want to do anything, or you don't want to better your situation, then this isn't for you, of course, right? But if you do want to better your situation, you do want to do something about it, and you want to change, try it out. I think you'll like it. I never do loose leash walk. I was taught to always do heel during walks. My dog tends to walk in front of me, and I keep correcting, but that doesn't work. Should I do loose leash instead? Just do loose leash, right? Just do loose leash. I don't know why people they just want their dog in heel the whole time. I don't know why. It's when I'm on a walk, with my dogs, I just want them to just be dogs. I just want them to sniff, and I want them to pee on stuff and do all that stuff. I don't want them in a heel. I don't. And if I need them to heel, then I tell them to heel. If we're on a busy road or we're passing someone or something like that, then I tell them to heel. But for the most part, I just want you being a dog. For example, right now it's nighttime. We're about to go on a nighttime walk with the dogs, Orbit and Arrow, and they're going to be off leash. And I'm not going to give any commands. In the very beginning, I do some healing, with Arrow, just because he gets really excited and he's kind of just all over the place, right? And then so I do some healing, just some impulse control, make sure he's in a good state of mind. And then I release him. And then for the rest of the walk, there's not really any obedience. I might tell him to come if he gets a little far, but, he's doing his thing. He's not stepping in he's not peeing in people's lawns. He's not stepping onto the road. He stays on the sidewalk. He's just doing his thing, just being a dog. but I have that control. And so I can give him that freedom. I've had 7 foster Malinois, but the one I have now is the hardest one ever. Reactive, aggressive to the extreme. We are in one-on-one training, but I need more. I'll be joining your group too. Awesome, Candace. Yeah, I think you'll learn something. Yeah, you sound like, yeah, I love that you're willing to improve your skills so that you can help other dogs. I love that. It's amazing to me. I started watching your videos way before I even got a dog, and now I have an amazing 10-month-old female boxer. Training is going so well. Thank you. Happy to hear that. Do you think joining Pack Walk helps train my dog reactivity? Yeah, for sure. Like if you I will say, like, if you've already gone through, we call it, like, in our reactivity course, we call it the reactivity red zone. Like if you've got past that point, like your dog isn't going to react in another dog. They might be a little uncomfortable still. They might be a little excited still, whatever. But after that, and you're just doing desensitization after, this is steps 7 to 8 of our training. At that point, that's when I'll start doing pack walks. Right now, we just get around other dogs. Right? We just get around. They just learn to be around other dogs, not interacting, just like going on a walk, doing obedience around the other dogs, just ignoring them, just desensitizing. Super powerful for that. Thank you for answering the question. How do I train territorial behavior? I tell him to heel. He does. He barks aggressively at the same time. So if he's like reactive, don't tell him to do something else. Just attach a consequence to that behavior. So if he's barking or something, you punish the barking. And then once you've eliminated that, then you can give him something else to do. My dog has anxiety to enter into the crate. I've tried everything. Use pressure. So Nandy, use pressure. So it's similar. Sorry, this live is freaking long. I just realized. In the very beginning of the live, there was someone who was asking a question about getting into the car. The dog was scared to get in the car. If your dog is scared to get in the crate or is anxious to get in the crate, and you can make as much positive reinforcement in there as you try. If you try to throw all the treats in there, you can. He just doesn't want to get in. Use pressure. Use leash pressure. So you can either just hold the leash, like attach it here, attach it to his collar, whatever, hold the leash and make pressure in and hold it. Do not release it. Do not release it until he is in the crate. Then release it, okay? But that's the key, okay? Because he's going to fight you and he's going to freak out and everybody releases it there because they get all afraid, you see? But when you do that, you just taught the dog to escape the pressure. You just freak out and then the pressure goes away, see? So you have to make pressure. Hold it. He's going to hit the brakes and all that stuff. You can increase it slowly, right? And you just hold it. You just hold it. Increase it lightly, okay? But just hold it. Then once he gets into the crate, because it's going to be uncomfortable, once he gets into the crate, the moment he got all 4 paws in, you need to release the pressure and then reward him with food on the inside. You can already have food waiting in there for him if you want. All right, or maybe he's too anxious to even take food. So he just goes in, you release the pressure, and then he immediately wants to come out. And then once he comes out, nice job, buddy, nice job. Right, you give him praise, you can give him some affection, whatever he likes, and then you do it again, and 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 again. See, and by you'll see it. Like the first time, it'll be very difficult to get him in. It'll take a long time, and he'll be fighting you, and he'll be all stressed out and stuff. But the second time, it takes half as long. And the third time, it's like really fast, like just a few seconds. And the fourth time, it's like, and the fifth time, boom. And the sixth time, boom. And the seventh time, boom. And maybe now he's starting to take food now. You see? So you use the combination of negative reinforcement and positive reinforcement for that. Any advice for introducing my dog to run next to me while biking? Yeah, so what we do is, like, in our training program, first we get the dog off leash. So we train him to be off leash fully. So now he's off leash everywhere, distractions, all that stuff, off leash healing next to you. Then after you've completed the program, then we just generalize the heel command to when you're biking. So I just did this with Arrow recently. Like I have like an electric bike and I just give him the command. Like at first I just stand on it and I just give him the heel command. I'm like, Arrow, heel. And then he just like, huh? And I'm like, yep, heel. And I just kind of pat my side of the leg. And he's like, okay. And he just comes into the heel position. And then I walk with the bike a little bit, not moving, not pedaling or anything, just walking with it. And I practice turning into him, turning away from him. And I repeat the command heel, and I give him praise, good heel, because he knows the commands very well, right? And so it's really easy to do it once your dog has a rock solid heel command. But that's what I like doing. I like just them being right there. I also like having them off a leash. Just it's easier and it's like safer. But yeah, same for running too. Like if you're running, I'd like having the dog default just in the heel position. And then I can release the dog. Like if we're in a really open area, wide open, and there's nobody around, then I can release the dog and, they run ahead and they're peeing on stuff or whatever. And I can call heel, like as I'm biking, comes back in the heel position, stays right next to me. My dog is still reactive towards other dogs, needs walks. How should I approach other dogs on walks before he's ready? Any avoidance? So in our program, we kind of have you do a reset, so to speak. So you're not going on walks per se. And what I mean by that is like if you live in a house, like I'm not sure if you live in a house or if you live in an apartment, but if you live in a house, instead of going on a walk around the block, you're just going to stick to like right in front of your house or like right in front of the street. And instead of going on a walk, you're going to do other things instead. So now you're doing obedience training instead of going on a walk. Now you're doing a little play session in your backyard instead of the walk. You see? And what you're focused on here is just teaching the dog the bare bones basics, bare bones. And you're also learning the basics, the core mechanics of training. And then once you've got those skills and your dog has those skills, now we're going to go for a walk, and you're also going to join the reactivity course so you can set up reactivity training sessions. And in the reactivity course, we show you how to do that. But one of the worst places to train if you have a reactive dog is just random dogs on walks. Like that is extreme difficulty mode. Like it is so hard because it's very difficult to get any learning across. It's difficult for you because you're doing the shit for the first time. You have no idea what you're doing. And then it's difficult for your dog too, because your dog is also trying to figure out what to do around this other dog. And the other person who's walking their dog isn't here to help you, right? They're not here to help you. Their dog is probably reactive too. And so they're trying to get away from you. So it's a very bad situation for training. So in the reactivity course, we kind of show you what to be doing, but the best case scenario is to have a helper dog. So if you have a friend who has a dog, you have a family member who has a dog, you have a coworker who has a dog, you ask them for help. Hey, would you be willing to help me do like a reactivity training session? I'll buy you lunch afterwards, like something like this. And then you meet up at a park, and now you're going through our 8-step reactivity framework with your helper dog. See? And if you don't have that, the next best thing is a fence dog. So like around your neighborhood, you maybe have some ideas like, hold on, there's that one dog who's like always outside the fence and they're barking at us all the time. Use that as your training opportunity. That's your reactivity session. Like you're literally going to get in your car and drive over to that person's house, park on the street, and get outside and train your dog in front of their fence. Literally, I'm not even kidding. Because that way you can show your dog how you want them to behave. Like, yes, you can punish the reactivity, but you can also reward all the good decisions. And the dog stays there. They don't leave. You don't leave. You're right there. And you're also safe because the fence, right? And so it's a good learning opportunity for you to practice getting your reps in, and also your dog learning how to behave here. Now, if you don't have a helper dog and you can't find a fence dog, the next best thing is outside of a dog park. Now, outside of a dog park is a lot more distracting. There's going to be a lot more smells, a lot more dogs around. It's much more difficult. And it might be more difficult for you too, because now you have the pressure of other people looking at you from inside the dog park. If you're on the outside doing some training, everybody's just staring at you. What is that guy doing? What is he doing with his dog? And that might make you very uncomfortable. Depending on how you are, it might make you uncomfortable. You might not be willing or afraid to correct your dog in front of these other people, afraid of what they think, afraid of what they might say. And so it's a more difficult environment for you and for your dog. And then the last step, and this is like things we work through, right? This. And then the last thing is just random dogs that you pass by on the walk. Right? Those are the hardest. And it's good to have already had practice for you and for the dog before you get to that point where you're just passing random dogs on the walk. Does that make sense? Like think about that as like extreme difficulty mode. So we start out on easy mode, as easy as possible for you and your dog. Then we work our way up, we build our confidence, we get the skills, we get the reps under our belt, we start to understand like how this is all working, right? And then we can face the extreme difficulty mode. Does that make sense? I've been conditioning my mini poodle on the e-collar for about a week now, around 3/4 stem, 3/4 stem. How do I know when we can move on to the next phase, or how do I figure out a level on the e-collar that is uncomfy? So you're working at the working level, lowest level they perceive. The level you're looking for next is a level that reaches escape and avoidance. So for example, if you're out like on the walk and you tell your dog to down and they don't down because they were distracted by the smell, they're not listening. And when you stim, you should see two things. The first thing you should see is that they immediately want to escape the pressure. So it's uncomfortable enough to where they want to stop it immediately. So they get into the down to turn it off. Okay, good. The next thing you want to see is on the next rep, when you say down, they do it immediately. This means they're now avoiding the pressure. They're avoiding the consequence. Escape and avoidance. That's the level you want to be at. It's different for every dog. But if you're too low, you'll reach escape, but not avoidance. If you're really too low, you won't even reach escape, right? Your dog will just blow you off and continue smelling. So that's a sign you need to go up. Lonnie Yap. Oh, Lonnie's in the program. I have 4 dogs. Just started a week ago with Blueprint at the play stage and started reactivity. Should I start the play module also? Yeah, the play course is it's more at your own pace, right? Unlike Blueprint, which is the obedience training, and unlike reactivity, which has like timelines associated with everything, the play course is just at your own pace, right? Everybody has different starting points. There's no real like structure to it. It's not like obedience where everything is built on top of itself very carefully, right? So yeah, you can start the play course. What e-collar do you recommend that's pocket friendly but effective? Mini Educator, ET300. What's the best training method for a severely reactive dog that reacts at everything? Our method. Try for free, 7 days. All right, guys. I think I'm going to end it here. I've been going for like 2 hours. Dogs are off leash. I don't care about fence dogs at all. It's dogs that are out and especially off leash. She'll get aroused. Yeah, do more desensitization. One of the hacks that I've had with this, Edward, is go to the dog park right before they close. Right before they close, everybody comes out at the same time. And so you'll have like, if you're at a busy dog park, like 20 people are coming out with their dogs at the same time. And you could just hang out there and you just do training as everybody is slowly trickling out of the dog park. So helpful. I did that with Arrow. It was like immensely helpful. Have you seen dogs who are completely shut down with an e-collar? Depends on how you use it. You can shut any dog down with an e-collar, right? But you can also, the first trainer I saw do this was Larry Crone, bro. When I first started learning about the e-collar, I saw Larry Crone use the e-collar for this incredibly anxious, fearful dog, afraid of its own shadow. And he's like, we're going to use the e-collar. And I was like, huh? What do you mean you're going to use the e-collar? This doesn't make any fucking sense. And then I saw what he was doing. I saw him using, he calls it positive confusion. So like he finds that working level. Dog has no idea what it is. No idea how to register that. And he shows the dog how to come through that pressure and win on the other side of it, how to turn off that pressure. And to that dog, that's like its first win it's ever had in its life. You see? And he starts to love that. It starts to become this little game where like when he feels that pressure, he turns and comes, pressure goes away. Oh, well done, buddy. You say like, if you know what you're doing, you can build the dog's confidence with the e-collar, even in the most fearful, skittish, afraid of its own shadow dogs. So yeah. Please do more live sessions. We do live sessions inside of the program. So join the community, guys. 7 days, free trial. Try it out. If you're serious, though, don't join if you're just going to dilly-dally around and just like watch some video lessons, okay? But if you're like actually trying to go, like you're trying to put in the work and do it, join. All right, guys. Thank you all for joining. I'll see you guys in the next live. I'll try to do more of these. All right. Bye, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Happy Thanksgiving. 7-day free trial, limited time only. All right. Later, guys.